I met Mark Levine many years ago through our mutual friend, Mark Thompson, who is one of the personalities at Sirius XM Progress, the progressive channel on the satellite radio. Mark and I had in common that we both worked on marriage equality issues. In the late 90s, Mark co-founded marriage equality in California. And for more than 20 years, I've been working on marriage equality in D.C. There are, in elective politics and in political advocacy, there are show horses and work horses. Mark Levine is not a show horse. He's a good-looking guy, but he's not a show horse. He works. He is a very smart fellow, and as we were approaching the final game, the end game, as it were, after many, many years of preparatory work for marriage equality to enact it in D.C., we did the strategizing, we did the messaging, we built the relationships with elected officials and candidates and opinion makers, so we had to do more than just have a majority to pass it. We needed a supermajority, the same as Earl Warren needed on the Supreme Court with Brown v. Board. We needed to send a message. We were united in D.C. And then we had to be prepared to fight a battle on the Hill, all this stuff. Mark Levine volunteered his services as pro bono counsel to the Gertrude Stein Democratic Club. And in that capacity, and the real end game came in 2009. He wrote testimony. He wrote court briefs, and he helped to craft our marriage equality bill. There had been a bill put in the hopper by then council member David Catania, an openly gay council member, formerly Republican, became independent. But it was not nearly the bill that was needed. It's a complex issue. There's all sorts of angles from which people who wanted to attack us could hit it at. It had to be an absolutely solid piece of work. Mark worked with then Judiciary Chair of the D.C. Council, Phil Mendelson, who's now the Council Chair, with his Chief of Staff, Brian Moore, with the Chief General Counsel to the D.C. Council, Brian Flowers, and with others to craft a really solid bill. He also testified before the Board of Elections after some opponents of ours tried to force the measure onto a ballot initiative so that our neighbors could vote on whether they thought we should be able to marry or not. And we all agreed that a basic right like marriage should not be subject to a plebiscite. You can elect someone else as the delegate to the 45th District. The 45th District, this little strip on the shore of the Potomac River. But you will not get a smarter or a harder working or a more effective legislator than my friend Mark Levine. And as Mark says, and as he's demonstrated over many years, he doesn't have to get a paycheck in order to fight for equal rights. I was scanning his issues summary on the paper that there's copies of here. I couldn't find anything that I don't agree with him on. We are liberals. We have fought in coalitions alongside our sisters, alongside African Americans whose voting right is being infringed. There's a whole lot of issues that we thought were settled 4 and 5 decades ago that the radical right is attacking us on. And Mark understands, as I do, that if each group stays in a separate silo, we are done for. Now, there are many people among us who don't have the option to pick which of 3 or 4 silos are they supposed to stay in. We have to stand together, or we are in trouble. And Virginia is, and this is a part of Virginia which is very progressive, but then downstate, there's other battles to be fought. There was very closely fought races at the state level a couple of years ago. Every vote has to count. And so all I can say as somebody from the other side of the river is it has been a pleasure, been highly productive working with Mark Levine. And I think you could not do better than him. And he'll work for free as a volunteer, but when you elect him to the state legislature, you are improving you're giving him leverage, as he says, to get the best deal for the people of the 45th district. And I encourage